While filming for my upcoming documentary, If You Build It, They Will Come, bringing pro baseball to Utica, which is available August 23rd, I got to learn a little bit more about the importance of a number. The number on a player or manager's jersey is more important than you think. To learn more about this, I sat down with manager of the Beavers, Chris Newell. You know, doing this documentary about Jimmy John's Field, I got to know quite a little bit about the superstitions of some of the ball players and the managers. But one of the things that impressed upon me is, you see a lot of ball players have different numbers. Al Kaline had 6, which is always memorable. Obviously, Jackie Robinson, 42. But I was always curious on why you wore number 14. I always thought it was because Pete Rose, because you're kind of like a scrappy guy.
The hit king.
Yeah, the hit king. I mean, but why is it that you wear 14?
Well, I wear 14 for my mentor. Greatest influence in my life next to my mom and dad, as far as in my career, I should say. The late, great Dave Bergman, former Tiger, World Series hero. What he meant to me, and still means to me, I can't even put into words. And I speak on behalf of everybody who ever came across him, and he touched so many lives. He looked out for everybody, always had everybody else's best interest, and would do anything in the world to help them achieve their dreams and their goals. And I know for me, when I met him, I had just retired as a player and was getting into scouting and getting into private instruction. And I met him at Michigan State of all places, and his son Troy was playing for him, and him and I just hit it off just like that. And he pumped me with so much confidence. And
well, how did you meet him? Let's start with that.
Well, it was my first ever scouting assignment at Michigan State. They were playing Ball State, and to be honest with you, I was so nervous but excited to start my scouting career with the old Tampa Bay Devil Rays at the time. And so I nestle in, do my thing, and get ready, and I meet my supervisor, Matt Kinzer, who was a roommate with Dave in spring training back in 1990. And David was, 4 or 5 years removed at the time from playing, so the name Dave Bergman went in one ear out the other, and I was just so focused on that day, and it didn't dawn on me. And I'm driving home, and I'm like, "You got to be kidding! That was Dave Bergman." I was him in my backyard playing wiffle ball all day, every day.
Some say the best at bat in the majors of all time in '84.
It's hard to argue.
A lot of youngsters don't know this at bat, but tell it for those who don't know. Talk about the at bat. What happened?
I think it was in June. The Blue Jays were making a run at the Tigers. I remember watching the game, and I just got done playing wiffle ball or baseball in my backyard with my buddies. I'm sweating, watching the game, and I think he fouled off 13 or 14 pitches, and he ended up hitting a bomb into the upper deck, and the Tigers never looked back. And again, it was no question about it. Top 5 greatest home runs in Tiger history, and it's not even close. Those guys in '84 probably don't have a ring without Berkey, but he was a consummate pro. I mean, and his teammates will all tell you, what he meant. Whether he was with the Giants, the Astros, it didn't matter. He was just.
I forgot he was with the Astros.
Yeah. And but what he meant to me, and what he still means to me to this day, is unbelievable. I sit here today wearing his number with great pride. He's always looking out for everybody else. He was always a team guy from what everybody told me, and you're not going to find anybody that played with him or against him that will have anything bad to say about him. And for me personally, having him in my life for the amount of time that he was in my life, I can't even describe how important it is and how grateful I am. I wake up every day and I put this uniform on, and he's the first guy I think of. Dave was never a guy that talked about himself. He was so concerned with everybody else. Here he is. He's battling for his life. Certainly was in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
It was always, how are you? How you doing, big boy? What's going on with you? And that's just who he was. He was the best. The young lives that he's impacted, his former players through the Redbirds organization, and they're all wonderful adults, family guys, and have their wives and their kids. Everything the guy stood for, every single person that was around him should want to strive to be like that man. I know I do. He was the best.
Talk about his work ethic and what kind of, how do you pass that down to the players as far as how they go about the game?
Well, I tried to, yeah. I mean, Dave was, great story. I remember he used to tell me, runner on second, nobody out. And oftentimes he wouldn't even give a sign to his hitter. It was just, listen, I don't care what you do with your at-bat, but when you're done with your at-bat, that guy on second better be on third, worst case scenario. And it's the game within the game. Play the game the right way. And yeah, of course I pass that on to my players. They're professionals. I let them play. Put your guys in a position to be successful. Dave taught me that. He preached it, and like I said, I'm here today because of that guy.
Everybody knows about number 6 and Babe Ruth number 3 and all the greats, but I implore all the youngsters, especially the youngsters who might not know a lot about the history of the game, don't be afraid not just to come up and ask Chris for an autograph, but ask him why he wears 14. And not just Chris, I'm sure there's other people that they wear a number for a specific reason. So you might get a good story out of it. I think I think especially in baseball, those stories need to be passed on from generation to generation.
Great clubhouse talk.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the best part of the game as far as I'm concerned is inside the clubhouse. The guys that I have in here, I've worked really hard in putting this roster together, and I can tell you, Bergie would be proud of everybody in here, and he would appreciate how these guys play, and because of that, it's easy to come to the ballpark every day and put that uniform on that number.
Well, I want to thank you for joining me today and talking about something that was so important to you, that continues to be important to you and means so much to you, and letting us be a part of Chris. So I appreciate that, and I want to thank you for being in my movie. You're
I'm a movie star, man.
I know you got to get your SAG card. You actually have a really. I can't give it away. You got to buy the movie or come up to Jimmy John's and watch the movie, but. You're the last scene before it goes to closing credits.
Okay.
I will say that. Whew, that's a lot of pressure,
Did you lose a bet?
No, thanks again, Chris.
Pleasure.
And as always, you got to get down to Jimmy John's Field. It's a great place for your family. If you haven't been out here, it looks like Fenway Park out there.
It's awesome.
It's just awesome. So in Fenway Park stars in my movie too. I don't know if you can do that. I went to Cooperstown. I went to Boston. It's not just about Utica, it's about the history of baseball, and it's about the history of Utica, and it's about the Beavers, because they're the #1 team in the USPBL.
Well, I'm honored to be a part of it.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.